Hi, this is Ashley again. Welcome back to Struggles of Mom Life. Since it's getting close to that season, I thought it would be perfect to do a video on trick-or-treating. I know this is probably the day that every parent starts to look forward to because you get to eat all your kids' candy. No shame in that, I suppose. After all, they don't need all that sugar. So, so this week we're going to talk about trick-or-treating, ways to stay safe, candy and treats and such for your toddlers. I know my little one, Ben, is about to be 18 months, so he's almost a year and a half old. So he is able to eat some candy here and there, like we make exceptions. So we are letting him actually go trick-or-treating for the first time this year. Last year he did dress up. He was a cute little dragon, but he didn't actually collect any candy. This year we have been to 3 events already, and he has enjoyed each and every one of them. So we're just going to dive right in. Little bear. He didn't want to wear the rest of his costume, but I did convince him to wear his bear ears most of the time. Most of the time. That's okay. He's still cute. That's costume enough. Ways to stay safe. Choose the right costume. This doesn't really have to be said, but I'll say it anyway. Make sure the costume fits. Because I've made that mistake before. I bought a costume thinking, oh well, this will fit him fine. I didn't try it on him, and that was my mistake because I bought a costume that was too small and he wouldn't wear it. So make sure your costume fits. Make sure your costume is appropriate to the weather. If you have this big, bulky, fluffy lamb costume, and in your area of the country it is quite warm in October, your child is going to be very hot and could run the risk of overheating. So make sure you have a cool enough costume or a warm enough costume if you're in one of those areas that tend to be cooler this time of year. So choose the right costume. Oh, also make sure your child can actually see. Make sure there's no hard metal pieces that could scrape or irritate their skin. So choosing the right costume is very key to Halloween. Next, be visible. If you're out after dark doing trick-or-treating, make sure you are in something either reflective or they sell all those little necklaces or glow sticks, but just stay visible. That is the main thing. You don't want a little one or yourself getting hit by a car because somebody couldn't see you because of a dark costume. And now, your little one might be too young for this to apply, but remind children of their manners. Say please, thank you. Don't try to rush somebody and take more candy than they're actually offering. Don't try to turn around and go back to the same house in order to collect more candy. So just, be mindful of your manners. Now, my little one, his favorite phrase right now is apparently thank you. We haven't quite worked out please, and he did pretty good on trick or treat, but thank you is his favorite word. So far, pretty much all the events, he has thanked everybody for what they're putting in his bucket, but it's usually delayed. So the cinnamon is still there, but he's just a little bit delayed on it. And it's a little bit harder to say thank you when you have a sucker in your mouth, whether that sucker is unwrapped or not. So be mindful of manners. Next, timing is key. I wouldn't really recommend being out after dark with a toddler just because it's harder to see, it's less safe. There are plenty of events where you can go earlier in the day and be out in the daylight to do trick or treating. We actually went to an event today that started at 4 and we were home by 5:30. So he got more than enough candy. He got a balloon animal. He got to eat ice cream, so he really enjoyed it. Not all Halloween treats are necessarily candy. So that's another thing. You know, research what's going on in your community, and you would be surprised at how many free events are all around your area. I know here in our area, just today alone, we had to pick one because there were so many different events going on all about the same time. So do a little homework and you might find out there's more going on than you thought. Also, pick an appropriate candy bag. Don't get one that's so large that your little one can't hold it. You can always get a smaller bucket and carry a bag if need be to empty the bucket if it's getting too full or too heavy for your child to carry. I know my son's favorite are just the standard little pumpkin pails. It's small, lightweight, it's got a handle, so those seem to be his favorite. He actually stole his niece's pumpkin bucket, so we ended up having to go out and get him one so she could have hers back. Because he did not like the smaller felt bag that I got him that was probably much easier to carry, but he chose the pail instead. So those seem to be, just about the right size for the little ones. And be prepared for surprises. You might find once you get out there that your little one is frightened by what is going on. If that's the case, I would say just go ahead and head home. No need to scare a child. You can always have Halloween fun at home. You can carve pumpkins or do things like that. You don't necessarily have to go out and get candy or anything like that. So be mindful of your child's feelings in this whole process as well, especially if this is relatively new to them. Like Ben, it is new to him. He has been, so he kind of is comfortable around the costumes and everything. But this year he really enjoyed it. So I was very glad to see that there was no fear in what he was seeing. Treats to avoid for toddlers. Small candies like candy corn or those little Smartie candies. Popcorn balls, that's always a no-no. I believe until at least 2 or 4 years old. I can't remember exactly. Popcorn's a no-no. Chocolate filled with nuts, just because these pose a choking hazard. So you want to avoid anything like that could potentially choke on. Whole caramel or candy apples. This is a no for obvious reasons. I know my first thought would be him hitting himself in the face with that hard apple, but it's just nothing. It's not appropriate for your toddler. Sticky candies like taffy or caramels should also be avoided just because they pose a potential choking hazard. Unfortunately, most candy is off limits for them. There are a few things that they can have, but the whole thing with this is it needs to be in moderation. Definitely key. Like he went trick or treating tonight. He's had two suckers out of his entire candy bucket, and that is all he will have today. I definitely don't let him go overboard with the sugar, but I am allowing a little bit, especially with the suckers, because it seems to help him with his teething. He has molars coming in, so molars are always painful, so those suckers seem to help with that a little bit. So extreme supervision is needed with suckers because they could break off and cause a choking hazard. So just watch your child closely. Any signs of breaks, you need to go ahead and take it away no matter how much they cry. Cookies and cakes are okay. Try to avoid nuts on that again. Um, let's see, peanut butter is okay if your child hasn't exhibited any peanut allergies. Those little Twizzler things, I know my son enjoys those quite a bit. Mostly he enjoys flopping around the little rope. And plain chocolate, just like a plain Hershey bar, just like one of the tiny little squares, is more than plenty because they really don't need that sugar. Remember, have a safe and happy Halloween. This has been